Like, okay, it's the wrong paper, okay? It's also like 4 different kinds of paint, maybe 5. The airbrush aspect, I don't have ventilation. And it's cold or windy outside, and, or wet, whatever. So, like, just periodically. And my focus is not there. My interest is not 1,000%. And there's undecided details. And the thing that, I'm a muscle car dude, so I kept drawing bigger tires and rims and different style. And because it's hydraulics, just lifted up, it's just hard to get the proximity because the photo I'm going from is not the same as the car that I'm painting and drawing. And this is a mock-up. I did it to see if I could get interested in it and if I could, pull it off again. Because I've done it 100 times, literally. I've done stuff like this when I was 17. And, it was slapstick back then. And I got to the point where I had nice things, but then all this shit happened. That was unfair. And now, like, I'm trying to make money and establish a living. And I have a hard time, like, having an interest in the common things that people have. And honestly, it's like I like extreme things or applied things or simple things if I'm not doing things for myself because... this is cool and it's for love, dude, and it's great people. This is where any artist would want to be doing because you can make good money, you can make a good life, you can hang out and do the things you want to do with the subjects you want to be around because of the people that are interested in this stuff. But I lost something when I was beat up by the fucking police and thrown in jail and prosecuted. It took so much of my space, and I'm satisfied as an artist. But basically, like, I have initial thoughts, like the intention and the impression, and it's all just dots. And I like it, and it's my style now, especially as a commercial artist that's prostituted himself. But I need to pay bills. I need to eat better. I need health things and material things that are going to make my life easier and better and restored. And I need to do stuff like this because I can't do a 9 to 5 and stuff like that. It doesn't work for me. I used to do that. But then once you get fucking, all that happens and you go down the rabbit hole and you have to fight for your life and you lose everything, it just taints your life. So everything is about that. And then even the artistic part that was there, it's still about it because it was, but it was a novelty before. It didn't exist at the same level where eyes are always watching and they're chewing away at us in the process of entanglement and bondage, of the abstract rhythms, and percussions of war that make us lose heart and soul and faith. And, but we still have that and that and a couple things, material things, and essentially they represent something. And it's a hard place to be. And look, it's always there. It's just always there. That's Mike Satz and Fred Berman over a sea of bodies that are in there and they're satisfied with a little trinket of leaf-like money while the machine eats them in a feast of an organic matter. And look, I'm not finished, but there's a set of sweet chick legs in there. Not really, because she's with them. And, there's the cattle right there and their big parliamentary stuff looking like that. Columns of the Greek civilization, like that's in my face. And then the tree is like an ottoman with the shape of people. And it's like Alphabet City on all the notes and heart and letters that, that they're riding on. That's paving the thing. And there's UFO coming in top and everything. You know what I'm saying? Hairy finger shit, and that's like something unknown. I'm like still decided, but it's like a cloud kind of deal. And like I gotta finish that now instead of just going with lovey-dovey stuff or going back to punk rock, or thinking about cards and and I think about God in a different level because to save myself more than the appreciation. And people have skulls around. I do have skulls around. But it's just like a concept of where satisfying the pine cone. So this way I can have a happy birthday, which is every day, instead of the crow's way, as the planted seeds grow and deteriorate and get chewed up and put in the ground for another day. It's crazy, it's crazy, it's crazy, but we have the tools, and we could blow our horns, and we could clean our windshields, and we could get plucked by the thorn, but not anymore. Don't tread on me. I gotta get back to this art, you see. A Lowrider 64. So many times I've painted and drawn before, even tattooed. It's crazy. There's computers that are locked up, have work on them that I can't get right now. But that's what I'm working on, and my focus and my interest is trying to be there. And I have to be humble, because I know it's not perfect. I know that 10 things could be better. I don't feel like using the airbrush again, because it's toxic. The paint I'm using Testor's model paint. And I went and I got some of these, which is cool. You know, but that's going to be on top of the oil enamel now. Ha ha ha. And then I got other acrylics right there too. And this stuff acts like a skin. You could peel it off. So, like, if I go on the car with that at all, that's why I didn't get the car color, because I don't want to be tempted. Because if I go on the car with that, and then I put a clear coat, it could emulsify and release it from the thing in an orange peel off city. And then boom. And then it looks 3 times as worse. So it's like at this thing. And, you know, I could make it right. I could make everything look right. And, like, you know, it is what it is. You know, I'll finish it. I always finish it. But, like, there's undecided things. And there's a couple cool elements that I'm interested in. And basically, I just have the intention. Like, okay, here, just put a couple blobs in a spiral. Blah, 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 blah. Okay, like you got a wood grain. Looks like ramen noodle squiggly. La, 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 la. Okay, you got a chromia effect. You got the hardcore and then the fade. Da-da-da-da. Edges. And then you got, okay, the shines. And then you just got to put a little red to cover up the mispaints. Da-da-da-da. Okay, and then you gotta put the tread in there, and you have to use 2 blacks to make black, 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 but not all the same black, because you gotta make them different. And then even the same with this, and then you gotta do this, and this, and this, and you gotta say, okay, you messed up, maybe it's the wheel on the other side. Aha! And can you hide little stuff in there? I don't know. You know, and the steering wheel, like, I don't like the original steering wheel. So it's like, I wanted to draw a cool steering wheel, but then I had to readjust the seats because I drew my own dashboard before. You know, and I never, like, you know, you have to be focused to get into this, and pre-plan is what the deal is. And, you know, to be honest with you, it gets even more complicated than that. Because at the end of the day, you know, I'm going to make another one, because I'm not going to use the whole car, because it came slapstick. Dude, I got magic markers and everything in on this. But my initial stencil was just to get the outline of the car, so I could at least have some place to start. But airbrush don't look good unless you get brush. And I only have a VL, which is great, but I don't have the separate needles. I really need like 4 other airbrushes, and I guess I could use an Iwata, but I don't like that needle setup. It's just frail. It's not like, you know, meant for the real world to that degree. I know I'm gonna get a lot of flack for that, but whatever, dude. Whatever. You know, and it is what it is, you know, and that thing could be shifted, all this and that. You know, and then I kind of got it looking like my Newport, my old Chrysler Newport. But that, you know, so now, but then I messed up on that because, you know, I had bad lighting. And then I was like, I got sick from the inhaling the stuff. It was insane, inhaling the toxic stuff. You know, and you know, I'm glad I didn't make that bigger, because in reality it's big and it looks a little funny to me. But then this here, I have to airbrush in order to correct this. So it's like this thing. And you know what? As much as of a pain in the neck it is, I gotta do that. I gotta make that right. You know, it's not just an impression. It's becoming more than that, because that's how it is. And in reality, I'm going to make this car, I'm going to paint it life size. So I'm going to have to do that anyway. I mean, those parts aren't scary. Life size, okay, to paint, you know, this car, what's going to be scary is, let's see, the proximity of this to this, is going to be scary because when you step back, I should have enough room though. That's the thing, is there's enough room around the trailer. So this way, when I step back, I'll be able to view it. Now, if there was vans and other cars parked next to this trailer, I wouldn't have the perception to step back. And that's the whole thing you got to do about painting big. You see, I'm showing you something right there. So anyway, and it's just, it just keeps going. Take a deep breath, dude. What the fuck? But then I have fun. I'm like, I could put something in the mirror, but not the right size, and and I put the shadow in there. So initially, I have a slapstick version, and it comes out, and I can almost run with it. But then I want to do more because I could have showed him the slapstick version and put all this mentality into the trailer itself, but I didn't know, and I didn't get this the information that I needed on what to do, because there's also going to be stuff in the background. Like, okay, it's in the trailer, but what am I going to put on there? So I know what I'm doing in there. And then this is acrylic, so I will do the shadowing with this.
It's not a big secret, like, let me not tell them the works about it, and show the final one, like, look, I made an awesome picture.
Dude, you know what? You could learn it. When I was tattooing, I'm like, dude, this is so easy. I can't believe I just made like $300 in freaking an hour and a half.
He's like, Danny, if anybody could tattoo, they would be doing it. They don't want to do
it. So that's why they can't. There you go. So it's like, boom. I don't know. Maybe not. So that's looking like some kind of cougar now. I made that extra big to cut it in later because I knew that I was not on point, because I kept having to break away my focus. So when you have to break away your focus, now I have I compensate ahead of time by making the circumstance that I'm going to fuck up and have inadequacies and have stuff that I'm going to have to readjust later, which is very different from the artist that sits there, that has their mind together, that gets to make the decisions, that doesn't lose freaking years being threatened of being thrown in jail for fucking years and followed around and, all that crap. That's ridiculous. So anyway, that's where the anxiety exists. And, this is bogus. See, I'm going to have to use the airbrush on this. That's why I got the white too. Because I'm going to have to use the airbrush on that. Because the chrome will make it look right. But I'm not going to use it on that because I don't have an Iwata. Now, if I had the little tiny one, or had the tiny needles, I could do that. And you can see how big it is. Okay, that stuff is that small. So with the airbrush, you could do that. And look, that doesn't look like the emblem. That looks like poo. But, like with signs, like the real one will be nice. It's easier actually to take a fat brush and line that and do a gray, white, gray than it is to paint it small for me now. So that's where it is. And then this, I want to leave it crusty because it's an old car, but it's not an old car. It's been restored, so, I got to do that. I got to make that nice. And that piece of chrome right there. And look, you can see where with the pencil, I just sketched it in there because that's how my sign painting has corrupted my art. And I refuse to use a projector and copies for stuff like this. I just won't do it. So, that's me with the pencil and the pen in there, and the wrong pencils on the wrong paper, and getting in an angst situation. You got to make that right. That has to be right. See, because that one comes up. There's all these little details, dude. And, a lot of that stuff I can leave, but it looks dirty. And I want it to be just a little cleaner. It doesn't have to be perfect. And that screwed me up. And I got white on my hand, okay, because of focus and having to break away and anxiety and stress about things, unsettled. I got my hand in the white and I forgot to put the paper down, which I did the other times, and I got white on there. So that's why I'm like, okay, screw it. I just took and I'm using 2 brushes. I got a bad habit of not using more than 1 or 2 brushes from the initial brush I pick up, which is what it is. But I have to put a steering wheel on there. And visors, so that's going to correct that, allow me to correct that, because that should just be a little taller. And I tried to put like the dot in there, but not really. You can only do too much detail, you know, and it is what it is. I said that 500 times, like that. I got to put the emblems on there. He's got the McLean, you know, it looks like a cotter pin there, but that's where it is, and those are the Greek nunchucks. All right, so yeah, show's over. 64 out the door.